Welcome to the Early Morning Light Podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Early, and on this podcast, I share life-changing tips, tools, information, motivation, and inspiration to bring light to your life as you tune in week after week. On this episode, I want to talk a little bit about the NCAA tournament. Yeah, some of you out there I know are just as fired up as I am about what's happening in the men's and the women's tournaments this year. There's some amazing ball being played out there on those courts, some amazing talent. I'm going to focus this week on the women's tournament. Yes, my men's bracket is busted. Actually, both brackets are busted. So we're not going to talk about that, but I want to talk a little bit about the women's tournament and just some of the things that I've noticed. I mean, there is just some amazing talent out there this year. The excitement around the women's game, I just think is amazing. It's fun. It's exciting. And my hope is that continues to be the case for the women's game. But I mean, we've got Caitlin Clark, who's shooting lights out. We've got Paige Beckers, who has been one of the greatest players for the last 3 years, who's balling out. We got Angel Reese, just went out of the tournament, but she did her thing. We've got Juju Watkins, the freshman from USC, the phenom, who is just going to dominate the game in the next few years. I mean, it is really exciting to watch what these ladies are doing out there on the court and what they're doing for the sport and for the young, aspiring athletes, basketball players that are coming up in the women's game. I just love it. But I want to talk a little bit about a couple things. One is just the lessons that I believe athletics teaches to these athletes, man. I just believe that, and I've been around athletics for a while. My kids played, I played a little bit. It's just been fun to watch these athletes develop these key skills for life, leadership, coming back from adversity, working together as a team. I mean, all valuable skills that I believe can only be gotten the way it's gotten in athletics and being a student athlete. Yes, there's other areas where you can develop these skills, and I know sometimes the athletics world takes a hit or takes some criticism, but there's no denying the skills that are developed. And some of the greatest leaders that we have in this world, in this country, have been former athletes, high school, college athletes, pro athletes. I mean, it's just amazing what happens. But today, I want to talk a little bit about the one particular player who I've been watching throughout the tournament, and they just went out of the tournament, Hailey Van Lith. And I've been a fan of Hailey for the last 3 years, even when she was at Louisville. But you know, we've all probably noticed that Hailey has been challenged in this particular tournament. She wasn't able to perform at the level that she was used to performing at. So you got a lot of negative comments being made out there about everything, just about how good she really is, about, you know, the decision she made to leave Louisville to go to LSU. And you know, I'm not going to comment on any of that, but I've just been watching her play, and I just noticed that even though 3 years ago she was projected as one of the top players in women's basketball, she just doesn't look like on the court the same person. And it is obvious that whatever's going on has been something mental, something in her mental part of playing the game. There's something that she is thinking or grappling with, or something that gets in the way. I know a lot of people, you know, will comment on her athleticism and, you know, things like that, you know, maybe she's not able to keep up with certain players, but all those things. I don't know that personally that all that's true, that I believe that all that's true. I believe that there's some mental blocks that have prevented her from competing at the level that she wanted to compete at. So as I watched her, especially in the last game, which was kind of a culmination of all that's happening, you know, the turnovers that she's made. I watched how she was pitted against, or you know, in the lineup, she was facing the best shooter in the country, the best shooter in the game, I would say right now in the women's game, Caitlin Clark, who is a phenomenal player. Nothing I say today is to take anything away from Caitlin. I'm enjoying watching her. I think she's going to be a great pro, and she's going to more than likely to the Indiana Fever, which is my hometown. So I look forward to being able to check her out. But back to Kaylee. I don't know if anyone else thinks about this, but that is a tough task for her to be in this, what most people would call a slump, and to have to face the top shooter in the game. I mean, what a monumental task. And I don't say that to create any excuses for Haley. I mean, she's on the court. She's an NCAA starting basketball player, so she's got to be able to figure out how to step up to the challenge. But most of us would agree that that is a very difficult task. I mean, the reality is that no one is stopping Caitlin Clark when she's playing the way she's playing right now. I mean, I believe they're going to go on and win the tournament. I mean, I can't predict the future, but I believe that they have a great chance at winning. But as I watched Haley, one of my first thoughts was, wow, they should probably put someone else on Caitlin, because, I mean, that's a tough task for anyone, but especially someone who is in the slump that she is in right now. And you could see that she was trying to battle through it on the court, on the sideline. Her teammates at times were trying to encourage her, but that was a tough task. But, I thought more specifically, I started to think more about what is going to happen with Hailey Van Lith from this point forward. They're out of the tournament, so we all know that. There's no more basketball to be played this year. So the question is, it's not about what everyone else is saying or what they think, but who does Hailey Van Lith believe she is right now? I think that's the question. Who does she see herself as right now as she walks away from that slump that she played in? And I'm sure there's many questions in her head and probably lots of doubts. And we've all had those doubts about ourselves when we don't perform at the level that we want to perform. I mean, I've felt that at times. I'm sure everyone that's listening has had doubts about themselves, maybe not on that grand of a stage, which I believe probably makes it a little more difficult. But how does she harness those doubts, make sense of those doubts, and who does she believe she is right now as a person, as a basketball player? One of the things that I think is going to be helpful for her is that she does seem to have a strong faith. So I think that's going to be helpful. But who does she think she is now? Who does she believe she is as a player? And that's something I think she's going to have to grapple with, as many of us have, as we have experienced challenges or maybe even things that we consider to be failures, if that makes sense. So who does she think she is? The second question I had as I watched that last game wrap up and I thought about, because let's be honest, I'm still a big fan of Hailey Van Lith. I think she's a great player. I'm not sure exactly how she came to the decision of leaving Louisville. Obviously, things didn't work out as well at LSU as it did in Louisville, and people are going to question that. But, as a competitor, she made the decision that she thought was best for her. And I'm not here to judge that. I don't think anyone has the right to do that, but I know people will. So my next question is, along with who does she think she is? I think that's going to be important for anyone in a situation like that. But it is, who will she turn to? Who are the people that she's going to turn to, who are going to speak the right messages into her life, into her head, to help her make this rebound from this slump that she's been in, help her rise back to the level of competitive spirit that she was in when she was competing at the highest level, help her to improve her game to the point where she's competing at a higher level and able to match up maybe better in the future. I don't know. But who is she going to listen to? Who are the people she's going to turn to? My hope is that she's got, as I would for anyone, is that she's got some solid people around her who know who she is and will speak life into her as she approaches this rebound from this slump. I once heard someone say that sometimes we have to believe in other people's belief in us until our belief in ourselves kicks in. Let me say that again. Sometimes we have to believe in other people's belief in us until our belief kicks in for ourselves. There's no question that even if it's a small hit, that Haley's probably taken a small hit to her belief in herself, her belief in her ability. And my hope is that she's not tuning in to social media and all of the folks who have never played at that level, who've never competed at that level on that big of a stage, who have decided that they have the right to criticize her and to make her feel anything less than the competitive point guard that she was prior to the choices that she made and prior to this tournament. My hope is that she doesn't listen to those people on social media and that she has people around her. I know she seems to have a strong family, at least what we can see, in the media. So hopefully she tunes into them and that they can help her rediscover the belief and the confidence that she probably took a hit in this tournament or in this season, probably. So who does she turn to? Because I know, and we all know, that what's really going to matter for someone like Hailey Van Lith or anyone who experiences this type of perceived failure, as people will probably say, is that it's important that what's most important is what happens internally, not what happens from the external. What everyone else, people are going to have their opinions. They're going to say what they want to say. And maybe some of what they say might be true, but it doesn't mean that it changes who Hailey Van Lith is. And just like anyone else who's listening, if you've experienced any type of failure in your life and other people have viewed it and have their comments don't have to change who you still are as a person. It doesn't have to change your ability, your capability to rebound and to continue to achieve at a high level, whatever it is that you're doing. So that is one of the things I love about sports, is that we can look at someone like a Hailey Van Lith and watch her, unfortunately, and I don't say this as, to say that I am happy that she's going through this, but we can watch someone and watch the process, because everything has a process. The process that she goes through in going through this slump, and she has a chance to return whichever direction she takes, whether it's back to the NCAA or to the Pro League, WNBA, she will have another opportunity. But the question's going to be, who does she think she is? And if you're in a slump yourself, you want to ask yourself that question. Who do you think you are? Who do you believe you are now? Because it hasn't changed. You're still that person. Who will you turn to? Your support system. Who are the people around you who are going to speak life into your life and help you make this rebound or this return? And then thirdly, you have to understand and embrace the fact that what really matters is not the naysayers, not the negative Nancys and the people who are criticizing. What really matters is what happens internally and how you make sense of this situation as you make your return. My hope is that Hailey Van Lith is listening to the right people who are speaking life, who are speaking belief into her as she makes this return to the game or this rebound. My hope is that she internally, nothing changes about who she believes she is, because she's still that great player. She still has lots of talent and ability to achieve. She has an amazing work ethic from what I've studied. So with all of that, including the talent that she has, I believe she can make a full return and be a better player. And that's part of my message, is that I believe because she's gone through that adversity, just like you out there who may have gone through an adverse situation where you feel like you failed, by going through that and learning through it, when you get through that situation, you're going to be better, and Hailey's going to be better for her with her talent and for her sport. And someone's going to get an amazing player that year. Next year. That's what I believe. She's going to be on fire next year, and someone's going to benefit from that. Her team is going to benefit from that. So I look forward to seeing that. So that's kind of what's been on my mind this week, and I wanted to share that with you. So this is Tracy Early. Thank you for tuning in to the Early Morning Light podcast. Please tune in week after week. Invite your friends. Like this podcast on all the platforms, and I look forward to sharing light through the Early Morning Light podcast week after week. Talk to you soon.